Rent prices in South Australia have surged 55% in just 5 years.
It's never been harder to find a rental in Sydney, and if you do, you're guaranteed to pay more, with the rent rising at the highest rate we've ever seen.
Sydney's rental market has gone from bad to worse, with prices continuing to soar.
Ever feel like you're trapped inside a pressure cooker? Every day, the government and the big corporations give the dial another turn. The heat gets more intense. The pressure builds. You can hear the hissing getting louder and louder, and you just know that sooner or later the whole thing is going to explode. That's not a kitchen appliance, mate. That's the Australian household in 2025. We are a nation under pressure, being squeezed from every conceivable angle, while the people in charge tell us to relax, that the gentle hissing is just the sound of a strong economy. But it's a lie. A dangerous, condescending lie. Because for millions of us, the pressure is becoming unbearable. This isn't a cost of living crisis anymore. This is a cost of living catastrophe. And the lid is about to blow clean off. And the most infuriating part, the chefs in this kitchen, the ones turning up the heat, are wearing fireproof suits. They're in their ivory towers in Canberra, looking at spreadsheets that tell them the temperature is perfectly fine. They give themselves a pay rise while telling you to tighten your own thermostat. They serve up a banquet of tax cuts for their corporate mates while you're left fighting for the scraps. They are completely and utterly disconnected from the searing heat that ordinary Australians are feeling every single day. And the mainstream media? They're the waiters, serving up the government's talking points on a silver platter, telling you to enjoy your meal while your plate is empty. But we're not buying it. We're not swallowing their spin. We're here to expose the lies, to tell the truth, and to hold these incompetent chefs accountable. And we can only do that with your help. If you're sick of being boiled alive, if you're tired of being told to enjoy the heat, then join our Patreon. We're building a resistance and we need you on the front line. Let's start with the biggest lie of all, the lie that your wages are keeping up. The government and the RBA will cherry-pick the data, wave the headline figure of 3.4% annual wage growth in your face, and tell you that real wages are growing at the strongest rate in 5 years. But it's a statistical sleight of hand, a magic trick designed to distract you from the truth. The truth is that the cost of actually living is rising much faster. The ABS's own living cost indexes, the figures that measure the real-world impact on different households, prove it. For age pensioners, living costs shot up 1.5% in the last quarter alone. For other government payment recipients, 1.2%. Annually, living costs for the most vulnerable are rising by up to 3.9%. So when your wages go up by 3.4%, but your actual costs go up by 3.9%, you are going backwards. The government celebrates a 1.3% growth in real wages, while ignoring that this is an average skewed by high-income earners and falling mortgage costs for some, which masks the pain for everyone else. And here's the kicker, wage growth is actually slowing. It was 4.1% last year, and it's now down to 3.4%. The Australian Industry Group forecasts it will ease even further to 3.9% by the end of 2025 to 26. So not only are wages not keeping up with the cost of living, but the rate at which they're growing is decelerating. It's like running on a treadmill that's speeding up while your legs are getting slower. You're not just falling behind, you're about to fall off. For the millions of Australians who rent, who rely on a pension, or who are on low incomes, the gaslighting is insulting. They're telling you you're getting richer, while you know you're getting poorer every single week. And then there's the housing trap. The great Australian dream has become a national nightmare.
It's crazy. There's hundreds of people going for every apartment, so it's really difficult.
We're not building a society of homeowners. We're building a nation of debt serfs. Property prices are rising at the fastest rate in 4 years. The national median dwelling value is now a sickening $848,858. In Sydney, it's closing in on $2 million. To save a 20% deposit for an average home, you'd need to find $170,000. How is a young person on an average wage supposed to save that kind of money while paying record rents? It's a joke, and the rental market is a bloodbath. 2 in 3 Australians expect property prices will rise even further in the coming year. There's no relief in sight, no light at the end of the tunnel. Just an endless climb up a mountain of debt that keeps getting steeper. Rents in our capital cities have surged by an unbelievable 57% in the last decade. The average rent is now $742 a week. In Brisbane, it's $754. And if you're one of the lucky ones with a mortgage, well, 1.42 million of you are now in mortgage stress. And it's not getting better. A record $65.8 billion worth of mortgages were refinanced in the September 2025 quarter alone, as desperate families scrambled to find better deals, to shave a few basis points off their interest rates just to keep their heads above water. That's 27.9% of all mortgage holders, nearly 1 in 3 at risk of losing their homes. The number of people in the extremely at-risk category is now 18.5%, far above the decade average. And what is the government's genius solution to this inferno? To pour petrol on it. They've opened the floodgates to a record 415,000 net migrants in the first 9 months of this year, without a credible plan to house them. It is a policy of deliberate, calculated cruelty, designed to prop up GDP figures at the expense of the Australian people. It's not just housing, it's the cost of just staying alive. Putting food on the table has become a daily battle. Official food inflation is 3.1%, but we all know the reality is far worse. That $51 for a few items for a single dinner, that $40 for a takeaway, smashed arvo. These aren't luxuries. They're signs of a broken system. Price increases have been recorded across almost all grocery product categories, except dairy in the year to March 2025. And it's not just the big ticket items. It's the little things that add up. $1 for a reusable bag. 25 cents for a paper bag that rips before you get to the car. It's death by 1,000 cuts. And every trip to the supermarket is another slice. And who profits? The supermarket duopoly, Coles and Woolworths, who are posting record profits while squeezing farmers and fleecing customers. And if you're not being bled dry at the checkout, you're getting a bill shock from your utility provider. Electricity prices have surged thanks to annual price reviews that kicked in across all capital cities in July 2025.
New research suggests half of the country has been hit with increases of up to 30% compared to last year.
And the government's much-touted energy bill relief fund, it's a mess. In New South Wales and the Australian Capital Territory, households didn't even receive their rebate payments in July. They had to wait until August. And those who missed out in July are now getting 2 payments lumped together in October. It's a bureaucratic shambles that leaves families in the lurch, not knowing from one month to the next what their electricity bill is going to be. The government's Energy Bill Relief Fund is a temporary token gesture, a band-aid on a gaping wound, especially when you see that the rebates in states like Queensland and Tasmania have been used up. Exposing households to the full force of the price hikes, council rates are up, water rates are up, petrol is up, insurance is up, everything is up, except your real take-home pay. It's a relentless, soul-destroying cycle of bill after bill, with no end in sight. So what does this all mean? It means the Australian dream is dead. It was a nice story while it lasted, but it's over. We are now officially a 2-tier society, a nation divided between the haves and the have-nots. A country where your future is determined not by how hard you work, but by whether or not your parents own property. The Hilda survey shows our social fabric is fraying, with people socialising less because they simply can't afford to. Socialising rates have dropped over the past 2 decades and they have not returned to pre-pandemic levels. The weight of the world is on people's shoulders and the cost of living is the biggest cause of stress. Affordable housing is the top concern in 2025, followed by the general cost of living. People can't afford after-school sports for their kids. They can't afford to go to the movies. They can't afford simple pleasures that used to be taken for granted. A $150,000 salary, which used to be a ticket to a comfortable middle-class life, now feels like what $50,000 used to feel like. It's not enough. Nothing is enough anymore. People are working 2 or 3 jobs, not to get ahead, but just to stand still. They're abandoning the country altogether, looking for a cheaper life abroad. The cost of living crisis is so severe that Australians are making the drastic decision to leave the country they love because they simply can't afford to live here anymore. It's a national tragedy, and it's a damning indictment of the people in charge. They're delaying starting families, living with their parents into their 30s, and giving up on the idea of ever having a place to call their own. This is not the fair go country. This is a nation in crisis, a society in decline, and the people in charge are either too stupid, too incompetent, or too corrupt to do anything about it. They are the ones turning up the heat on the pressure cooker, and they are the ones who will be responsible when it finally explodes. So what can we do? We can refuse to be the frog that gets boiled alive. We can get angry. We can get organised. We can demand better. We can support independent media like this, who are not afraid to tell the truth. We can join our Patreon and help us build a movement that can't be ignored. Because if we don't fight back, if we don't stand up and say enough is enough, then this pressure cooker is going to blow, and it will take all of us with it. To see the latest Australian crisis, click this video here.